Hi everyone, welcome to Difference Frames the World, a channel that offers you a unique perspective. Please subscribe and turn on the notifications so you will not miss our videos every day. All right, let's talk about Donald Trump's upcoming meeting with China's President Xi Jinping and explore whether he can make a fantastic deal with China. Now, Trump's talking big. He says he and Xi are going to strike what he calls a fantastic deal. According to him, he's got a good personal relationship with Xi, they respect each other, and this deal, whenever it happens, will be great for both countries and fantastic for the entire world. That's the tone he's setting. Confident, positive, a little dramatic. But here's the thing, behind that optimism lies a lot of tensions. Trade tensions, technology tensions, rare earth supply tensions, even geopolitical ones. And that's why this meeting really matters. Not just for Washington and Beijing, but for everyone from automakers to electronics companies to consumers all around the world. So let's break it down piece by piece, the meeting, the rare earth deal with Australia, and the tariffs. First up, the meeting itself. Trump says it'll happen soon, possibly on the sidelines of the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit. Trump's talking like a deal is right around the corner, but real diplomacy is never that clean. There's negotiation, posturing, and a lot of behind-the-scenes maneuvering. He's emphasizing that the United States, under his leadership, commands what he calls great respect from Beijing, and he's using that to claim leverage going into talks. He says that because of his personal rapport with Xi, they'll be able to hammer out something fair. But he's also flashing a warning sign. If no deal comes through, he's ready to hit China with more tariffs, including an additional 100% tariff on Chinese imports starting November 1st, 2025. Maybe an additional 150%. Who knows? Because he is ever changing. He is a different person 5 minutes later. Whether it's 100% or 150%, that's a huge threat. At least Donald Trump thinks that way.
I took in hundreds of billions of dollars from China. I put the full tariffs on China. Biden left the tariffs because he couldn't. It was too much money, but they gave so many exceptions that they were essentially meaningless. In other words, here's the tariffs, but you don't have to pay if you look at somebody the wrong way. You don't have to pay. So they didn't pay very much. But with me, they were paying hundreds of billions of dollars. And again, I have a great relationship with President Xi. I expect to be able to make a good deal with him, and I want him to make a good deal for China, but it's got to be fair. For years, they were making $500, $600, $700 billion, $700 billion, and we'd be making nothing. It was a one-sided, honestly, we built their military. We built China's military with the money that we lost for so many years getting ripped off. So now we're going to have a fair deal. I think we're going to have a very successful meeting. Certainly, there are a lot of people that are waiting for it. Maybe it won't happen. Maybe it won't happen. Things can happen where, for instance, maybe somebody will say, I don't want to meet. It's too nasty. But it's really not nasty. It's just business. And we're going to do a good job representing you people and representing the people of our country.
Of course, he does not forget to flex his muscles by showing off America's military superiority. Don't worry. The U.S. is so far ahead militarily that China won't even try anything. Trump wants to look like the deal maker who's in control. Now, the big question is, what does he mean by deal? Because deals always come with trade-offs. And right now, the balance of power between the U.S. and China isn't just about who's selling more goods. It's about who controls the materials that power the future. In short, who controls rare earths? That brings us to the second big piece of the puzzle, rare earths and the new partnership with Australia. Just days before this upcoming meeting with Xi, Trump signed an $8.5 billion deal with Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese at the White House. The focus? Building a joint US-Australia supply chain for rare earth and critical minerals. Now, if you're not a minerals expert, here's the quick version. These are the materials that make the modern world work. They go into electric vehicles, smartphones, fighter jets, wind turbines, and medical technology. In short, they're the backbone of everything from clean energy to national defense. As we mentioned in the video published a few days ago, China dominates this field. Around 70% of global mining and over 90% of processing happens in China. That gives Beijing a massive amount of leverage. If China further restricts exports, as it announced on October 19th, it can cause chaos for manufacturers around the world. That's why this deal with Australia matters so much. Australia has rich mineral reserves and a strong mining sector. The US sees it as the perfect partner to start building a non-Chinese supply line. But this isn't a quick fix. The deal involves mining, processing, and refining infrastructure, all of which take years to develop. Still, politically, it's a powerful signal. It says, we're not going to be dependent on China forever. Donald Trump vows that he will not allow Beijing to play the rare earth game with him. However, the deal with Australia cannot be a plan B if talks with China fall apart, as it is not much better than the gemstone samples from Pakistan. Now let's get to the third piece. The tariffs, Donald Trump's favorite tool, and he's not shy about using it. Right now, tariffs on Chinese imports already total around 55% to 57%, depending on the category. But Trump's now threatening to double down with another 100% tariff on top of that if China doesn't ease up on export controls, especially those on rare earth materials. He put it bluntly, they threatened us with rare earths and I threatened them with tariffs. However, the problem is that China can survive without the US market, as it can sell its stuff to other countries and regions, or enlarge its domestic market with incentives, which it is doing now. Can the US consumers do without China's commodities? General Motors already raised its truck and SUV prices to ease the tariff pressure, saying the tariff's impact on its financial performance will drop from $5 billion to between $3.5 billion and $4.5 billion. Who will pay the increased prices? Not the Chinese, as few Chinese customers buy GM vehicles nowadays. Tariffs are a double-edged sword. They can hurt the other country's exporters, but they can also raise prices at home. They hit American businesses and consumers, especially those who rely on imported parts or materials. And on top of that, China can retaliate. Trade wars rarely have clean winners. Tariffs can be a powerful leverage, but they also carry big risks, politically and economically. And that's why this upcoming meeting feels like a balancing act. Trump's saying, let's make a deal. But he's also making it clear that if Xi doesn't play ball, there will be a cost. The meeting between Trump and Xi will almost certainly cover rare earths trade and tariffs, maybe even Taiwan or broader global issues. If the two leaders manage to agree on some framework, even something vague or non-binding, that shows goodwill and maybe a promise to keep talking, both sides can claim a win. Trump can say he made progress, while Xi can claim he defended China's interests and eased tensions. But if no deal comes out of it, then that November 1st deadline looms large, and those 100% or 150% tariffs could become reality. That would rattle global markets, drive up costs, and push companies to rethink where they source materials. Trump has built much of his political identity on being the tough negotiator, the guy who can make deals no one else can. So he'll want to walk out of this meeting with something to show, even if it's just a symbolic handshake or a vague agreement to keep talking. Donald Trump and his Chinese counterpart are staring at each other, and they are betting on the other side to wince first. Both sides are feeling the pain, but the problem is who can weather it. Both parties have cards to play. The US has the Taiwan card, the tariffs card, the technology card, and the like, and Xi Jinping's trump card against Trump is the rare earth card. Here comes a question. Can Donald Trump dump the shitty things on Xi Jinping as he did to US protesters in his short video? What cards the US wants to play matter to Beijing? How will China's rare earth card impact the United States and its allies? Rare earths are not just rocks, and no one can use them directly. Even when countries like the US or Australia have the raw materials, they often send them to China to be refined and turned into usable components. That's where China's real power lies, in the middle of the supply chain where it can control who gets what and when. In October 2025, China tightened its export rules on magnets made with even tiny amounts of rare earths, or anything made with Chinese technology. That move sent a chill through Washington and Silicon Valley alike. It was a reminder that at any moment, Beijing can pull a lever that sends shockwaves through the global tech and defense industries. That's exactly why the rare earth deal with Australia is being hailed as strategic, not just economic. It's a long-term play to build a friendly supply chain. So when Trump talks about reducing dependence on China, this is what he means. It's not just about trade, it's about control over the future of advanced technology. Unfortunately for Trump, he may not see this such a friendly supply chain before he goes to heaven or somewhere else. He can hardly rely on the fella down there to solve the rare earth problem under his presidency. He still needs to sit down with Chinese President Xi Jinping. Trump likes to say he has a personal bond with Xi, that they respect each other, that they'll find a fair deal. The thing is that the US is never fair with other countries, even its allies like Germany, France, and Japan. Beijing knows it and remembers it. President Xi Jinping is different from Trump, and he never uses social media like Trump does every day. Historically, Beijing favors gradual moves and quiet negotiations over quick televised deals. While Trump promotes fantastic deals, China may choose to wait, believing patience will provide it an advantage. Let us wait and see who will win the upper hand, Donald Trump or his best friend in China.